Picture this. You push yourself up from the sofa, ready for a short walk, and your calves quiver as if they've run a marathon. Yet all you did was stand. That wobble isn't just old age. It can be a silent SOS from your muscles, and the foods you think are harmless might be the saboteurs. Every day, millions of folks over 60 reach for a sweet bite, trying to eat healthy, and then wonder why their legs burn halfway down the hallway. Today, we're shining a light on 5 colorful, innocent-looking fruits that, when eaten the wrong way, can flood your bloodstream with sugar, overload your potassium, or hijack your electrolytes until your legs feel like overcooked noodles. Age may add candles to the cake, but it doesn't have to steal the spring from your step. In the next few minutes, we'll walk together through the scientific traps hiding inside those familiar snacks, and I'll show you simple swaps and timing tricks so you keep every ounce of strength in your stride. I promise, no lectures, just a friendly chat over the kitchen table. If you love practical health tips without the medical jargon, tap the like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell on Health 365 so you never miss a chance to stay strong. Drop a comment as we go. Tell me which fruit you snack on the most, and I'll answer your questions personally. Ready to protect your legs from the first stealthy offender? Take a look at that speckled yellow fellow ripening on your counter. It smells fantastic. It looks harmless. Yet when its sugars peak, it can topple your electrolyte balance faster than you can say cramp. Let's peel back the truth about ripe bananas, starting right now. You know that soft, sweet banana sitting on your counter, covered in brown spots? It's tempting, right? Especially when you're craving something quick and easy. But here's what most folks don't realize. That very ripe banana, while packed with potassium, can quietly drain the strength right out of your legs if you're not careful. Let's break it down together. As bananas ripen, the starch inside them turns into simple sugars. That's why ripe bananas taste sweeter. They are. A single ripe banana contains up to 17 grams of sugar and carries a glycemic index that can shoot as high as 65, depending on how ripe it is. That means it can spike your blood sugar faster than you'd expect. For seniors, especially those dealing with diabetes or prediabetes, this kind of sudden spike can lead to an energy crash. And when that crash comes, it often shows up in the legs first. Heaviness, fatigue, or even mild shakiness that makes walking feel like a chore. Now here's where it gets more serious. Bananas are rich in potassium, about 420 milligrams per fruit. That's not a problem for most healthy adults. But for seniors, especially those on blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics, that extra potassium can add up fast. Your kidneys process potassium, and as we age, kidney function naturally declines. When potassium builds up in the blood, a condition known as hyperkalemia, you can feel muscle weakness, numbness, even irregular heartbeat. And that weakness? It often starts in your legs. The National Kidney Foundation warns that high potassium fruits like bananas should be eaten in moderation, especially by people with reduced kidney function. They've even listed ripe bananas as a fruit to limit for those managing kidney-related issues. So even if you feel healthy, if your kidneys are slowing down behind the scenes, those daily bananas could be tipping your balance the wrong way. And here's another layer. That banana sugar spike, followed by a blood sugar drop, can mess with your electrolytes. Sodium, calcium, magnesium, all of which are essential for muscle contraction and nerve signals. If they dip or shift too fast, the result might feel like a sudden cramp, tremor, or that weird moment when your leg just doesn't feel like it's cooperating. So what can you do instead? If you love bananas, don't worry. You don't have to give them up entirely. Just make 2 small changes. First, Choose bananas that are still yellow with a hint of green. Less ripe means lower sugar and a gentler effect on your blood sugar. Second, pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat, like a spoonful of peanut butter or a handful of nuts. This slows down the sugar release and gives your muscles the fuel they actually need. The truth is, bananas aren't bad, but the way and timing you eat them makes all the difference, especially after 60. When you treat your body like the wise old machine it is, even simple fruits like bananas can be your allies instead of your obstacles. All right, now that we've peeled away the truth behind bananas, let's take a closer look at something that wears a tropical crown and promises to refresh you, but might be quietly inflaming your joints and throwing your sugar into a frenzy. It's time to talk pineapple. Pineapple. Juicy, golden, and bursting with tropical flavor. It's the kind of fruit that feels like a mini vacation in your mouth. Sweet, tangy, and refreshing. But for those of us over 60, especially if your legs already feel stiff or tired, pineapple might be doing more harm than good. And it all starts with what it does inside your body the moment you take a bite. First, let's talk about sugar. 1 cup of fresh pineapple chunks contains about 16 grams of sugar and 21 grams of carbs. That doesn't sound outrageous at first, until you realize that pineapple also has a glycemic index between 59 and 66, depending on ripeness. That puts it firmly in the moderate to high range, meaning it can raise your blood sugar fairly quickly. And when your blood sugar rises and falls like a roller coaster, your energy drops with it. For seniors, those drops often show up in the legs, feeling sluggish, wobbly, or just not as steady as you were 10 minutes ago. Now let's add the hidden layer. Inflammation. Pineapple contains an enzyme called bromelain, which some say helps with inflammation. That's true, in certain forms and doses. But here's the twist. For some people, especially those with sensitive stomachs or chronic joint issues, bromelain can actually irritate the gut, trigger mild allergic reactions, or even make inflammation worse, especially when consumed in large amounts. If you've ever eaten too much pineapple and felt that weird burning sensation in your mouth or throat, that's bromelain at work. Imagine what it might be doing to your joints or nerves, especially if you already live with arthritis, nerve pain, or inflammation in your knees or feet. It doesn't stop there. Pineapple's acidity can also upset your stomach if eaten on an empty one, which is when many seniors like to snack. That can interfere with digestion, cause bloating, and throw off your body's ability to absorb minerals like magnesium and calcium. Minerals essential for muscle contraction and bone support. Without proper absorption, your muscles don't work as well, and your legs might feel heavier than they should after something as simple as walking to the mailbox. And here's a big red flag. If you're on medication, bromelain can increase the effects of blood thinners and even interact with certain antibiotics. If you're taking something like warfarin or aspirin daily, and you eat a bowl of pineapple thinking it's a healthy treat, you might be increasing your risk of bruising or muscle tenderness, especially in your lower body, where circulation is already slower with age. So what can you do instead? First, if you love pineapple, keep it fresh, not canned, which often comes loaded with added sugars. Second, keep your portion small, just a few chunks, and always with food, not alone. And finally, pay attention to your body's signals. If your joints feel stiffer or your legs cramp more after pineapple, that's not your imagination. It might be time to choose fruits with less sugar and acidity, like blueberries or kiwi, which are gentler on your muscles and blood sugar. Now that you know how something as cheerful as pineapple could be secretly sabotaging your leg strength, let's turn our attention to another tropical favorite. It's smooth, vibrant, and full of flavor. but its sugar load can hit your body like a freight train. Yes, it's time we talk about mango. Mango, just the name brings to mind bright summer afternoons, juicy slices, and that rich golden color that feels like sunshine on your plate. For many, it's the ultimate tropical treat. But when you're over 60 and struggling with energy, inflammation, or leg strength, that mango might be quietly making things worse. Here's why. A single cup of ripe mango slices gives you about 25 grams of sugar. That's nearly the same sugar hit as a small chocolate bar. It also delivers over 99 calories and close to 23 grams of carbohydrates. That sugar rush might give you a brief lift, but it doesn't last. What follows is that familiar crash. Your energy drops, your legs feel heavier, and simple tasks like standing up or climbing a few stairs suddenly feel like pushing through sand. And this isn't just about energy. That sugar spike, followed by a sharp drop, does more than mess with your mood. It triggers inflammation deep in your muscles and joints. Scientific studies have shown that diets high in fructose, the natural sugar found in mango, can increase inflammatory markers in the body, especially IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Over time, this type of chronic, low-level inflammation can make it harder for your muscles to recover and even accelerate muscle breakdown, a condition called sarcopenia, which is already a concern as we age. Let's add another layer. Mangoes have a low to moderate fiber content, only around 2.6 grams per cup, which means that sugar is absorbed fast into your bloodstream. Unlike fruits with more fiber, like apples or pears, mango doesn't slow down the sugar release. That's bad news for your blood vessels, because when blood sugar rises too quickly, it puts stress on your arteries, and the circulation to your legs and feet can suffer. Over time, this damages the tiny vessels and nerves that help you move with ease. If you've ever felt a weird tingling in your calves or noticed your legs fall asleep more often, poor circulation from repeated sugar spikes could be part of the puzzle. And let's not forget allergies. It might surprise you, but mango belongs to the same plant family as poison ivy. The urushiol compound found in mango skin can cause itching, swelling, or even rashes in sensitive individuals. If your body reacts with an immune response every time you eat mango, especially if your mouth tingles or your lips swell, it's adding to the inflammation load you're already carrying. That constant background inflammation saps your energy and weakens your muscle performance, even if it's subtle. So, what should you do if you love mangoes? The answer isn't to cut them out entirely, but to be strategic. Stick to small portions. Think half a mango or a few slices, and never eat it alone on an empty stomach. Instead, pair it with Greek yogurt or a handful of almonds. That way, you get some healthy fat and protein to slow down the sugar rush. And if you've noticed any skin irritation or fatigue after eating mango, it might be worth stepping back and observing what your body's telling you. Now, from mangoes to another fruit that looks sweet and innocent, but has been linked to some shocking effects in older adults, especially when eaten on an empty stomach. Let's talk about lychee. Small, fragrant, and oh so sweet. You'll find it in fruit salads, desserts, and sometimes straight from the can in sugary syrup. It's often treated as a light, refreshing treat. But for older adults, especially those dealing with blood sugar swings or muscle weakness, lychee can be a risky little fruit hiding behind a sweet smile. Here's why. Lychees are packed with fast-acting sugar, about 29 grams of sugar per cup, yet barely 2.5 grams of fiber. That means when you eat them, the sugar surges through your system almost instantly. If you eat them alone, especially in the late afternoon or on an empty stomach, you might experience a sudden blood sugar crash within a few hours. And when that drop happens, it hits hard, leaving your legs feeling wobbly, your energy zapped, and your mind foggy. But there's more to the story. Lychee isn't just about sugar. It contains a natural toxin called MCPG, methylene cyclopropylglycine, a compound that blocks the body's ability to produce glucose when needed, especially when your blood sugar is already low. In extreme cases, this has led to dangerous hypoglycemia. Several medical reports from India and Southeast Asia have documented outbreaks of lychee-induced hypoglycemic encephalopathy, where undernourished children who ate lychees without a proper meal ended up seizing or even in comas due to critically low blood sugar. And while these cases involved children, the same risk applies to older adults who skip meals or eat lightly and then snack on lychee. Your liver doesn't respond as quickly as it used to, and your muscles don't store as much glucose, so your body has fewer reserves when blood sugar drops. So what does that mean for your legs? Glucose is your muscle's fuel. When levels crash, your muscle coordination and strength go with it. You might feel lightheaded, unstable, or even shaky in the knees, just from eating what seemed like a harmless fruit. For seniors taking diabetes medication or insulin, the risk is even higher, since you're already managing blood sugar tightly. Adding lychee on top of that, especially on an empty stomach, is like throwing a match on dry grass. And if you're eating canned lychee, there's even more to worry about. Those versions often come drenched in syrup, doubling the sugar load. One small can could contain over 40 grams of sugar, almost your entire recommended intake for the day. That's not a snack, that's a metabolic shock. Over time, frequent sugar hits like that contribute to inflammation, poor circulation, and yes, weaker leg function. Your calves and thighs depend on steady blood flow and energy to keep you balanced and mobile. Flood them with sugar too often, and they lose their edge. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to quit lychee forever. But you do need to be smart about it. If you really enjoy it, eat just a few pieces as dessert, never as a standalone snack. And always combine it with a proper meal, something with protein and complex carbs, so your body has a safety net. If you've ever felt faint or suddenly weak in the legs after eating fruit, especially tropical ones like lychee, that's your body asking for help. Let's move on to one that seems so tiny and innocent, you might never suspect it. But behind its wrinkled little skin hides more sugar and potassium than your body might be ready for. Let's talk about raisins. They're tiny, they're chewy, and they've been called nature's candy for good reason. Raisins, those sweet wrinkled bites of dried grape, are in trail mixes, cereal bowls, and even baked into your favorite cookies. But for those of us over 60, especially if you've ever felt your legs cramp, swell, or give out, after a snack, raisins might not be as innocent as they look. Let's start with the sugar story. Because raisins are dried, all the water is gone. But the sugar? It's concentrated. In just a small handful, about 1/4 cup, you get nearly 28 to 30 grams of sugar. That's nearly as much as a can of soda. And you might be eating it thinking it's a healthy snack. But here's the kicker. Raisins also have a high glycemic load, which means they hit your bloodstream like a sugar bomb. That sudden spike can cause your blood sugar to rise rapidly and just as quickly crash. And when that crash hits, it drains the energy from your muscles, particularly your legs, since they carry your whole body. That's when you feel that post-snack wobble, that slow, heavy walk, or that strange weakness in your thighs. But there's another twist that most people never hear about: potassium overload. A lot of people know bananas have potassium. But did you know raisins have nearly 3 times more per cup? That's right. 1 cup of seedless raisins contains up to 100 milligrams of potassium. And if your kidneys aren't working as efficiently as they used to, which is common as we age, that potassium can start building up in your blood. The National Kidney Foundation actually lists raisins as a high-potassium food that people with chronic kidney disease or those taking blood pressure medications should avoid or strictly limit. So, if you're on AC inhibitors, spironolactone, or have any kidney concerns, that bowl of healthy raisins might be doing more harm than good. Let's not forget the calories either. Raisins are dense. Just 1 cup packs over 500 calories, often without making you feel full. That's a problem for 2 reasons. First, if you're watching your weight to ease the load on your knees and hips, high-calorie snacks like raisins can sneak in and work against you. And second, extra weight means extra strain on your legs, which can amplify fatigue and reduce stability. So, what should you do if you enjoy raisins? You don't have to cut them out completely, but you do need to treat them like a garnish, not a snack. Sprinkle a few over your morning oats or mix them into a high-fiber salad with leafy greens and protein. But avoid eating them by the handful or straight from the box, especially not on an empty stomach. Also, stay hydrated. Raisins are dehydrated by nature, and eating a lot of them without enough fluids can leave your muscles thirsty for electrolytes. That's when cramps hit hardest, usually in your calves or feet at night, just when you're trying to sleep. Now that you've seen how 5 common fruits, even ones labeled healthy, can quietly chip away at your leg strength, let's bring it all together and talk about what you can do, starting today, to move stronger and live better. So here's your simple takeaway. Start with awareness. Eat these fruits in smaller portions, pair them with protein or fiber, and listen to your body after you eat. If your legs feel heavier, if your energy crashes, if you notice more cramps, those are signs. Quiet signs that you can change. And the best part? Change doesn't have to be loud or hard. You don't have to transform your whole world in one day. You just need to make a few small choices, consistently. Maybe it's choosing half a banana instead of a whole one. Maybe it's trading raisins for fresh blueberries. Or maybe it's just knowing what works better for you today than it did yesterday. That alone is powerful. If this video gave you clarity or helped you see something you hadn't before, leave a comment below. Tell me, which of these fruits surprised you the most? I read every single message, and I'd love to hear your story. And if you want more practical science-backed health tips to stay strong, sharp, and independent after 60, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Health 365. Your journey to a better life doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be yours. Stay steady, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.